back to sort of the training experience. I'd love to know what it was like for you, everything from accessing, the website and being able to talk to me each week, and the manual, the resources, and the book.
Well, the manual is like amazing, and we have that out all the time. So it kind of brings you back to what it is that you're doing and brings forward things that we have to relook at. They're really into the roles a lot. They know them really well because they find them so interesting.
Are you referring to the Sacred Storybook?
Yeah.
Okay, because the manual is the PDF information that you've received. So you're saying that the Sacred Storybook is a really great hook for them.
It is. It totally is. And of course, because it was all new, I knew that I didn't want to approach it without, I'm just trying to think of the right words here. I didn't want to approach it as sort of not putting myself into it, like trying to follow the set, not rules, but the set idea around it. Mm-hmm. Can you tell her I'm just on a Zoom, Kayla? Thank you. So I kind of took what worked for me and what was easiest, mm-hmm. and then ran with that, and then go back to add a little bit more. Mm. And they kind of went rogue for a while, for probably about a month.
It's so great.
Yeah. And they came up it was all these wild children just running through the bushes and coming up with things. A lot of conflict came up at times, actually with everybody, for everyone. And it was nice to know that you'd spoken about that and that was part of this, because once you're comfortable enough, they can bring forth the things that are bothering them and feel comfortable working through those conflicts. Mm. So it's really good. Yeah.
Did you feel like you had enough support when it came to sort of dealing with those conflicts? Do you feel like
support from the program?
Yeah, from me. Or
yeah, except that I've been teaching now for so many years, and those are things that just automatically come up, even in the classroom, because it's also another safe place. Yeah. So I don't I remember hearing both of you guys' ideas and really being inspired, but that's kind of an area where I'm really working through this class. Mm. So it's just another aspect of them.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because I'm thinking of adding components to really support with that conflict resolution, realizing that, this game is like a model. It's like if you pick up the game Monopoly and you just put it in front of kids, but you don't sort of facilitate the emotional roller coaster that goes with it.
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
And also too, I think for whoever, and as a facilitator, seeing that that's a natural evolution. I mean, it is a natural evolution of groups. Mm-hmm. is the ups and downs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah. So in terms of once you had, did you have a mailbox? Did you end up getting a mailbox? Okay, so you had a mailbox, you had some kind of currency. What was your?
Oh, and our currency is really big, so they use it a lot. We stuck with the currency you were using just in case we needed to interweave it, but it doesn't matter. They even use, oh my goodness, they even use a currency among themselves outside of the forest. It's used all the time.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating that currency is such a thing?
I know. And I heard one boy go, well, it doesn't really matter. Where does it go? But I have introduced some services to them. And one of them is to buy animals for people in different countries. And they're really keen about that.
Oh, nice.
So we were going to use the currency, cash it in. But as well, I want them to contribute out of their own, whatever it is that they do, an allowance, so that they've actually not just said, oh, here, use the money that.
Yeah.
we had in the game.
Yeah.
But I think a couple of weeks ago, not this Thursday, we've gone to Thursdays. One of the boys, I don't know why, he just offered this other fellow everything. Oh no, we were doing a bartering thing outside, and he gave him 1,000 yen and I can't remember, 100 hours of service. So it didn't come out of that, but the yin was used. And like in the middle of class, and he's back doing this guy's work, and yeah.
Wow.
But it did come from the play that we do in the forest, right?
Amazing. So I'm so curious, because typically in the first month of an experience with this game, it's like getting to know the game, and there's that real hype that happens, and then it starts to calm down. And then that's actually why in the game I've created the next chapters, is because it sort of takes them to a new level, which you've probably, kind of already done, especially when you're saying you're purchasing animals for people in other countries. And so, yeah, what are some of the, if I think of like a testimonial, so like, what are some of the real nuggets, the real highlights of things that happened that you had maybe never seen before?
Like never saw before in a classroom?
Yeah. Things that make it unique.
Yeah, because the two kind of melded together.
Or maybe not if it's like never seen before, but if you, once you implemented it, you were kind of surprised that it was happening, or that,
I was, I don't know how surprised, because I was expecting anything really.
Yeah.
Because I could tell that was happening.
Yeah.
But like the things that tended to take some energy was like they're establishing, I think, their community down there, because it is definitely like when they step into it, they've got pretty good ideas of what they want to do. And again, like the direction towards the stores were just huge. And like their ownership of that. They haven't been doing as much with that right now. So I think it's almost like it's created a place for them to go and like really, really play. It got to a point just for a little bit where they hadn't lost interest, but they were kind of in a stall. A little bit. And we had to come up with things around that. I think with this class, like I'm always really close to all my classes, and we always have a really good sense of community. But I think with this class, and I don't know if it's COVID included, they've gone beyond all that, and it's really a lot like being in a household. So there's a lot of honesty, and it may not be exactly what everyone wants to hear. And honesty in that they're willing to share who they are and what's happening for them. I thought it was really neat, like they're different directions. So all of them kind of had like typically what they're passionate about was part of what they were selling and what they were creating. And then they've gone beyond that, and all of them have. And where that, like they'll just start working on things, and it seems like they're not really bringing those ideas from outside the forest, but when they get in there, they really have an idea of where they want to take things. I think they have a lot of like true play.
Yeah.
Where they can, they're not thinking of what everybody else's rules are. Right?
Yeah.
And then things happen because I have a few kids that are very dominant, like very dominant. And if it doesn't go the way that they're hoping it would, they have all sorts of different strategies that aren't always like boundary oriented or meshed in kindness and all of that. But it's also a really good platform to look at all of that and to say, where are you coming from? Are you coming from kindness? Like, why are you feeling this? And even an opportunity, I guess that's the other thing. We're spread out so far there. We can be, and I totally trust them to be anywhere in those woods. And so it gives you really good opportunity to be with one or two students. And then they just start to talk about whatever's happening for them.
Because everybody's so engaged in their little thing that you get to kind of dive in with.
Yeah, and they're very independent. So they don't need me. Actually, some of them were realtors, and they sold me a really nice spot right by the creek. And I was gonna come in and really, because they kind of, I find with kids now, they kind of phase out really quickly. We were doing a Rube Goldberg and they were really excited and they had everything planned, and then it didn't work and they just were flattened by that. So we had to go back to it the next day and just keep on trying. And they got that whole idea of like, everything isn't going to be exciting. You might need to put some really difficult internal work into it, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, they're all out there charging around. There are a few hot spots I have to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But generally, like we can just take a walk out in the log over the creek and just hang out and talk. And so that's probably, now that I'm glad I've spoken to you, that's probably one of the best places because there's not other kids watching. They're not bored. They're doing their own thing. You're not in a small classroom. And you have an opportunity for the kids that need to come to you and just chat. Or you can create that conversation.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So do you have a character?
Yes, I'm Brigitte. And I can be pretty well anything I want to be. And yeah, we haven't gone into character lately. Okay. And a few kids have brought that up. And it would be easy to go back into character.
So maybe back, because how long have you been running it for now? It's been
like well before Christmas.
So October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So 6 months-ish.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. That's exciting. So yeah, there's definitely ebbs and flows. And one of the exciting things with you is that you get that whole experience with those kids, and you get quite a lot of time. Like how much time do you spend in the day with them?
Like generally every day?
No, with this game.
With the game? A whole day.
A whole day. See, this is a potent piece of this. You can't just put them into this experience for 2 hours.
No.
And get half of what you're going to get if they have the whole day to pull from. Amazing.
And there have been times that I've had to, because we go out, if it's snowing, we go out no matter what. Yeah. And for some of them, that's really difficult. So there have been times that we've cut it short.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, generally there's a few kids that this is like getting them through school.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like this is their day. Otherwise, it's the only day they really look forward to is being outside.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. We are a school because we're outside a lot and we have so much room. There's a lot of building always goes on all the time. The minute the kids, like all kids step outside.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of building goes on in there.
Okay. Amazing. Gosh, I could ask you tons about so many different things, and I just I just want to dive in. Yeah. If there was one thing that you could say to somebody who might be interested in learning wildcraft play, what would you say to them?
I think it's the giving them the space to be magical, because they're so busy at this age trying to figure out where they fit in, and like all the playground, I'll call it drama that happens, and just being allowed, and just trying to fit into a big institution, right? To just, and they've all got that like magical perspective, but they often, you know, probably the only time it really comes out is when they're writing or whatever. Once they get to the grade they're in with me.
Yeah.
And this gives them the chance to, they just grab hold of it. And everybody, you don't have to feel silly about it. Or, not cool.
Yeah.
Because it's
what age do you have?
That would be the shocking part for me. I was shocked at how easily they went into role play. I have grade 5 and 6, but basically they're 6 and 7 now. Yeah. And because we're a K to 7, they're the older ones. There's a certain way they feel they have to act and around other older ones. Would be really great if the grade 7s could do it. But I think, it gives them back magic. And I know, like, teaching in middle school, that if you shut the door and gave the kids a chance to just go back to being their child, they loved it. They reconnected. But they just don't feel safe enough to do that. And that's the safety in this, because I've asked for them to play it. It's part of their curriculum. Yeah. So then that means it takes away the need to say, oh, this was my choice. Yeah. To act this way. Yeah.
And what was it that you did that made them feel safe in that? I mean, I know you already do that with your class and you have that connection, but do you think it had anything to do with maybe you being a character that made them?
Oh, totally. That too. Well, they would tell you they'd expect you to be.
Yeah.
And I just think that, like, I've got some kids that they have difficulty joining in on things because I'm not really sure why. Maybe anxiety, but it comes out in a different way. But I think the fact that everybody joined in. Oh, except for the one young man that sometimes, well, all the time, creates a lot of discourse in the class. He's sort of in and out, but I think it's a good place for him. He will come in and create a lot of chaos, which is kind of like the kids have to deal with that. Like, just because he says that they have to, like, he fires people, like he'll join a group and then fire a bunch of them for not doing what he wants. So it's kind of, it's your platform to deal with that, because that is what they have to deal with.
I love how you keep saying it's the platform to deal with that. So what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a kind of like setting the stage for them to like really be themselves, but at the same time, the safety of saying this is role play. But when
so what is it?
I think it's just creating space.
Okay. So if we were to, like, I love the way you speak, because you speak the way I speak. And then I start thinking about those people that don't speak the way I speak. And I'm trying to, like, critically analyze that experience for a minute, because this is exactly what I've designed this to do, is that it's like you take a board game and the board is the earth and the characters are the little, you are the characters. And then any of the props in there, we've actually brought props out into the forest to use, and there's rules and parameters of sort of how to play the game. So when you unleash it, the first day, it's very teacher heavy. You have to, like, help them understand what they have permission to do, and even maybe the second day. But by the third day, you really get to sit back and either be an antagonist in the story or a protagonist, but you're one of them now. Yeah. And being that support person on the side and being able to sit on the log and all that. And there's this platform that because you get to step out of it now and you're not the teacher telling everybody what to do, and they are leading the experience and they're running everything, and if there needs to be a town council meeting, well, then they have to host it themselves and all of that kind of stuff, and you just kind of facilitate and support the language and the tone of voice to help everybody feel welcome. But then when somebody like that comes in and disrupts the experience, it's not you stepping in as a teacher, taking over and fixing it. It's still letting them figure it out together.
Exactly.
So what do you do in those moments?
Well, I have to admit, sometimes I do step in and make a decision or help back up a decision that they've made, that the kids have made. I find it really uncomfortable because I want it to be a happy place. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it is, but there are times that it isn't.
Yeah.
And this happens in the class a lot too. Yeah. I wonder if it happens more in the class now because we have gone into that sort of fantasy world in the woods, where it's become the way that we are. That's where I need to really work on, is stepping back and letting some of the kids will be really wounded by some of the things that are said, particularly by just this one young man. So I find myself stepping in when it looks like it could really become a big thing for that child.
Of course, yeah.
And they'll come to me and ask me to step in, because then I take, then the anger will come to me instead of to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've had a few experiences where I've been able to keep character and pull their attention to me and be like, well, but I don't want to do that. Why would you want to do, like, I just kind of act this silly role, and I'd be like, well, I don't think that's fair. And I even get down on my knees.
From 2508575267.
Sorry. Sorry, just 1 second. Kayla, can you take this? I think it's Jace. Yeah, she'll hand it to you, honey. We have such a interactive neighborhood.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to come down. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, hon. So
she just wanted to let us know that.
Like that, Jamie. So I could come in as Brigida, and with him, he feels like I take sides. So I could, that's a great idea. I could actually take a moment to go off with him once he's settled down enough to talk. And just say just let him talk.
Yeah. There's been other times where I very intentionally make myself the healer. So you know how there's the 4 different characters.
Oh, yeah.
And so as the healer, you can pull out any tactics of social, emotional, counseling, like all the things you naturally do as a teacher to support kids, but showing up as the healer.
I like that.
Because then you can have a feather that they can play with, and you can have you can just add, you can have a bit of clay and they squish the clay when they're mad, and they don't realize it's a therapeutic thing because you're just being the healer, and you could get them to lie down and whisper things with their eyes closed for 3 seconds. You can just get them to
I love that. Let me get a pen. I'll be right back. I won't look. Gotta use this.
There's been times where, as the healer, I have all my wares that I sell, and some of the things that I sell, the kids are just like, mesmerized by them. Like I have marbles or I have dice, and they just want to like feel them in their hands, and they'll just sit there, and it's meditative for them almost.
They're really into those little poppets now.
Oh yeah.
But no, they would, and the neat thing is they would know what they were doing there, that if they did have clay, that it would be to settle them down.
Yeah.
But that would be an option for them. I like